So I want to welcome you for the second in an ongoing series of conversations we are calling MetaTraversal. Once again, I'm Evo Haining. I am one of the three co-chairs at Open Metaverse Interoperability. And I have been honored to join Ben and to join Neil, Terry, and a number of folks here to really explore how we can build connecting tissue across our industry that moves us toward interoperability.
So if we agree that we need interoperability, the question is how. So I'm going to kind of move the conversation from, is it a good thing, to how do we achieve it? But in the standards side, there's quite a lot of different activities going on in 8 or 9 or more standards development organizations. So fortunately, actually, there's quite a variety of communities that we could look at. And I think that we need to keep in touch and communicate between those communities and between the communities and the other balls in the air. And so each one can create requirements for the areas that are most important to them, and how we can make progress as individuals is to make sure that we understand who in our communities or in our companies care about standardization, what they have done or not done, and what they need and maybe what they don't need. And then we need to contribute. We've got to go from the internal sort of assessments to the outward actions.
My advice, my experience based on standardization needs is start small, have the big vision, but approach it incrementally with small steps.
I think you need 3 components. You need portals, so you need the ability to link between other metaverses, be able to jump in between the two. You need identity and avatars, and you need an open interoperable marketplace. Ideally, if you buy stuff in one metaverse, you really want it to work elsewhere, right? So if there's any folks on the call, would absolutely love to work on making these things interoperable, because I think it'll be a beautiful world if you can just kind of shift between worlds. And the blockchain gives us, I think Renee alluded to it a little bit, blockchain gives us a pretty cool way to do that in a decentralized way that's interoperable. So that's all let me just check my notes. Yeah, that's all. That's the main kind of piece of my what I want to kind of convey. Super excited for any partners who are ready to do this.
Oh, deep links. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but that was fantastic. And thank you. I see a lot of potential fruitful R&D coming out of this. Alvin, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Evo. And, appreciate you guys inviting us. I will definitely be a number of nonprofit organizations or consortiums that will be created that will allow us to have that interoperability. And we all the things that the world has been doing to enable an interoperable internet, we'll have those same models here, having DNS systems and URLs and all the different communication protocols. We will have similar types of models that will happen as well. The industry is actually pretty cooperative in terms of wanting this to happen. I think most people understand that a network is as valuable as the square of its nodes. So the bigger the network, the more value it is. And having closed systems will always, in the long term, lose out to an open, interconnected system.
In our go-to menu in Frame, which I hope you all can see, but we have a little navigation menu, and it's very simple. We used to make it so you could only put links to other frames in here. It was like you can move from frame to frame. We are now changing this so that if you want to put a link to a spatial build or anything else that works with a link, you'll actually be able to just drop it right into the go-to menu. And this also works from VR as well. We're integrating with a login service called Immerse Space, which kind of provides this like authentication wrapper across a few different tools. Anyone that chooses to use it, we're just making a stand and saying, look, let's see if others get on board with this. And basically what this will let you do is in your friends or connection list, not only will you see people, but you'll be able to see what other destinations in the metaverse they are located at, with a nice little link there so that you could just pop right in to see them. So, oh, Ben is in this hubs build, boom, go there right from Frame, and vice versa. Anand, I have an action item. Let's link up. let's figure things out.
So what are those core values? What are the conversations that we need to sponsor, that we need to foster? In addition to here are the regulations, or here is the thing, so that we get the great Magna Carta, so that we get the Declaration of Independence, we get the Bill of Rights. Those amazing documents come out of conversation, not of NFTs and technology and avatar interoperability, which are important from the tech side, but the conversations about humans and how can we be more human? How can this experience give us superpowers? How can it be more satisfying? How can it take humanity, evolve humanity to the next level?
It's not just all of the gates and the methods and all of that, but it's also that the locomotion schemes are inconsistent. We even had it hacked so that when you were in VR or desktop mode, you could simply phase through a portal. You wouldn't even have to accept it. You would just literally seamlessly move from one room to the next without even clicking on the portal.
One of the ones that we implement, A-Frame implements, CryptoVoxels, a few others out there, is the W33 WebXR navigation spec. And it's really easy to add this to your engine, the session granted event, that when you cross through one of these portals between two different platforms, you're able to capture that event and kind of, without dropping someone out of VR, you can go through these portals. The downside here is it requires browser implementations, and that's currently only available in Oculus browser. We're really dependent on browsers to implement these specs in order for the web frameworks to really be able to make use of those. Obviously, there's other organizations working on specs. IEEE is working on some things like Spatial Context Awareness API, and that's important for being able to kind of build objects that you can kind of take between these platforms and drop them into the world. And the world, like one of the main difficulties, bringing objects, like static objects between worlds. We have GLTF. GLTF is awesome for that. But they're static objects. They have no awareness of the scenes around them. They can't really provide interactivity. And so these type of APIs can become the kind of groundwork upon which we build more interactivity. There's always this kind of argument back and forth about we need standards. Oh no, standards just slow us down. And the reality is we need both. We need people out there who are experimenting with what they can build today without having to go through a formalized standard process. And then those implementations feed back into the development of the standards. On the receiving end, there's no, like a lot of these platforms don't implement, they don't drop you right into the 3D world. They show you the 2D interface, and then from there you have to drop into 3D. Spatial IO and Frame VR are talking about, well, let's add these links directly into deep links into our 3D worlds. Let's do that. Let's all kind of get together and do that. And I've been working with XR Engine people on this idea I'm calling MetaConduit, which is like an API where two websites can kind of open a channel, directly between them and kind of pass information back and forth in a cross-origin friendly way. So again, I think it's important for these platforms to all do that experimentation and then feed that into these groups that are working on standardizing it and formalizing it.
Somebody mentioned earlier, just the idea of locomotion being inconsistent is a huge problem. And then even within ecosystems, we see inconsistencies on top of that. So it creates a lot of confusion, and the onboarding and first-time user flow right now is highly frictional.
We are now actively working on transforming GLTF from a 3D asset to what we're calling a metaverse asset that will have interactivity baked in, physics attributes for simulations, better support for avatars. So this is all in discussion. The green ring here is the kind of things we're talking about. None of this is decided. And just as importantly, the gray ring is stuff we're saying Kronos is not going to do. We need to hand off to other folks that know a lot more than we do about these outer rings of activity. So I'm looking forward to using this forum to start gathering input and feedback on where GLTF should go next. I'm looking forward to the plenary meeting we have planned for the 12th. We can continue the discussion.
We hope that you will join us, and that can be on Twitter, on Discord, on different communities where this is actively happening. And please let us know if you've got fantastic projects that you want us to jump in on, because as you can see, there are many of us here who are ready to collaborate and jump in and test things together. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back in January. Also, if you have great topics for these conversations, please bring them to the table, and we'll do our best to bring them to the public and be a part of creating this open metaverse and public commons together. Thanks for joining us today, and have a great day.